Now, one thing's for sure, you're not going to be alone up here if you make it to the infinity pool at the top of the Marina Bay Sands.
Welcome to Singapore. In this video, I'm going to take you on a tour of Singapore. It's a place I've had the opportunity to visit over a dozen times in recent years, and I'm going to tell you which of the top 10 attractions is best to visit during the day and which is better at night. Let's jump in with Singapore's #1 attraction, the Gardens by the Bay. This place gets over 10 million visitors each year, which makes it not only Singapore's #1 attraction, but one of the top attractions anywhere in the world. What you're looking at here is the Supertree Grove. It's one of about 4 or 5 different attractions within the Gardens by the Bay that you're going to want to spend some time at. There's also this place called Floral Fantasy, which happened to be one of my daughter's favorite places. Now, I remember going in here, there's some beautiful flower arrangements, but really what I remember best is the ice-cold AC. It's no secret Singapore, located right on the equator, is hot and humid, and you will get warm walking between these different attractions at the Gardens by the Bay. But as you do walk from place to place, keep your eyes open. There are some interesting things to see, such as this baby statue where the baby is suspended and seems to be floating in midair. So what time of day should you be coming to the Gardens by the Bay? Well, I definitely have an opinion, but I want to share with you a couple more of the top attractions first. What you're looking at here is the Flower Dome. This is the largest greenhouse in the world, and it's one of the more popular attractions here at the Gardens by the Bay. You come in here and immediately the smell will kind of hit you. It smells wonderful. Lots of different floral arrangements. It's themed, and depending upon the time of year you come, you could go to a different section that might be a Christmas theme or it might be some other theme, but wonderful place, and it doesn't take terribly long. You can come in here and spend 45 minutes to an hour and you kind of see everything, but definitely worthwhile to come here to the Flower Dome. And finally, located right next to the Flower Dome is the Cloud Forest. This is another huge atrium. Inside is a tropical mountain. This man-made cloud mountain simulates the conditions that you might find in Southeast Asia or in South America. It's about 138 feet tall, and there's a waterfall cascading off the top. Now, you start out by taking an elevator ride to the top of the mountain, and then you take a pathway down and through the mountain. It'll take you an hour to an hour and a half. Of course, that will depend on if you stop and participate in every activity and also how crowded it is on the day you go. But one thing I love about the Cloud Forest is the misters. They turn on the misters every so often, and it's really refreshing, kind of cool experience to see this in person. So, going back to the original question, what is the best time of day to visit the Gardens by the Bay and see all of these attractions? My short answer is afternoon and evening is the best time. There are a couple of reasons for this. First of all, these places are air conditioned, so you come in, you can beat the afternoon heat. The other reason is even though you can buy a ticket and go to each one of these attractions individually, I believe most visitors to Singapore probably are going to buy a daily pass and do all of these at once, knock them out in one session. If it's me and I'm planning a visit, I would come in the early afternoon, spend a few hours here, see a lot of these attractions. The Flower Dome and the Cloud Forest are kind of cool to see as afternoon becomes dusk and turns into night. But make sure you stick around long enough to see the Garden Rhapsody Light Show. This happens twice each evening in the Supertree Grove. I believe once at 7:45 p.m. and the next time is at 8:45 p.m. It's a short light show, only about 10 or 15 minutes long, but all of these super trees lit up and coordinated to music. It's an experience you're going to want to have. And usually if you plan right, you can see all the attractions and then maybe do this thing just before you leave. That'll be the ideal afternoon and evening at the Gardens by the Bay. Let's talk about the next attraction, which is the night safari at the Singapore Zoo. Now, the Singapore Zoo is generally considered one of the top 5 zoos anywhere in the world. But here's the thing, you want to go in the evening time so you can go on the night safari where you get to see everything from rhinoceros to elephants and all sorts of other animals in their nocturnal state. They're a lot more active than they usually are in the day. How many times do you go to your local zoo and all the animals are sleeping? Well, come to the Singapore Zoo, go on the night safari, that's not a problem. You'll see them active. There's also a show called Creatures of the Night that you'll want to check out. Let's talk about the hawker centers. One thing unique about Singapore is you don't find any street food. There's no street vendors. This is because decades ago, the Singapore authorities mandated that all street vendors move into different facilities throughout the city. They cleaned up the street food scene. In doing so, they created their own unique culture called hawker culture. And there's dozens of these hawker centers located all throughout Singapore. They're like mini cafeterias where you go and you have different vendors, sometimes even hundreds of vendors, and you can go around and select your food and then eat in a common area. These hawker centers, most of them are covered and they don't really have air conditioning, so you'll be hot and sweaty as you order your food in the Singapore heat. But the food is delicious and there's so many different options. You've got to remember that Singapore itself is a multicultural country. People have come here and settled here from all across different parts of Asia. Likewise, the cuisine that you find in the hawker centers is a blend of different Asian food from all over. What time of day should you come? Well, any time is fine, but you'll notice I'm sweating here as I'm eating this dumpling. That's because it's hot. These places aren't air conditioned, and therefore I recommend coming in the evening time for dinner to experience Singapore's hawker culture. Thus far, every recommendation that I've given has been for the evening time or nighttime. Let me give you a good recommendation for the early morning, and that's this place, the Singapore Botanical Gardens. Not to be confused with the Gardens by the Bay. This place is totally different. It's in a different part of town, and this place is immaculate. The gardens here are beautiful. You'll want to bring an umbrella, but you can come early in the morning. I think it opens at 5 a.m. And this place has been around a long time, all the way since the 1850s. You come here, it's 200 acres, so it's quite large. It's about a mile long from one end to the other. There's various different sections within the botanical gardens. There's one place where there's a children's garden. There's 3 different lakes that you can go to. There's also a rainforest. You can actually go to a real rainforest that was here even before the garden was established. There's a toxic garden that you see here where the plants, they don't let you in, but the plants here are toxic. Right next to it is the healing garden, where different plants are used for medicinal purposes. But my favorite section, and I think most people's favorite section of the botanical gardens, is the National Orchid Garden. So it's kind of a garden within the garden, and you do have to pay a small fee, usually around $5, to enter into this place. Everything here is just manicured to the nth degree. It almost looks like the Garden of Eden. This section is called the VIP Orchid Garden, where you have different species of orchids, hybrid species that are named after VIPs and other dignitaries. There's also a cool house where they grow different species that are not native to Singapore but are growing in cooler climates, and this is a cool place to walk through. They've got a mist house as well. Altogether, you'll probably spend a minimum of 2 or 3 hours at the Singapore Botanical Gardens, and maybe much longer. My recommendation is come early. It opens at 5 a.m. and the National Orchid Garden opens at 8:30, so come early and check this off your list. Another place that I would recommend that you go during the day, whether morning or afternoon, is the ArtScience Museum, which is that interesting looking building located right next to Marina Bay Sands. Shaped like a lotus flower, you come inside. The architecture of this place is impressive. And it looks great at night, but there's no reason not to come here during the afternoon when it's hot. This place is air conditioned, it's nice. You come in, there might be a bunch of kids here if you're on a school day. There's one section where you walk through this unique LED room with these crystal strands and they change colors. Makes for some interesting pictures. There's another interactive exhibit where you draw out your own style of airplane, you scan it, and then it uploads to the LED screen and you get to see your plane fly all across the room. I think it's creative the way they use different lighting techniques, different neon colors, whether it's the interactive displays or different obstacles they have you go through. I recommend this place for morning or afternoon. It opens at 10 a.m. and closes at 7 p.m. on most days. It's open till 9 p.m. on the weekends. So there's a few other tourist hotspots in the downtown Singapore area that you may want to come to. These are places you might just pass by for 10 or 15 minutes, take a few pictures. But one of them is here, Emerald Hill Road. These colonial buildings are really colorful, popular picture spots. And the best time to come here is probably in the late afternoon or early evening. If you can, come during the golden hour. Another popular spot is nearby. It's the Budda Tooth Relic Temple. Now, if you're going to come and tour the temple, you've got to come in the early afternoon because it closes at 5. But maybe you just want to walk around and take a few pictures. The best time is at dusk. They've got these lanterns here. It lights up beautifully, and take some pictures. Just walk around for a few minutes. It's worth a visit. I've passed by here a number of times, and yes, I've gone inside and toured it once, but I'd really just recommend coming to the Chinatown area and walking around after dusk. It's neat to see, as are the number of Hindu temples. There's one just a couple blocks away. If you've never seen a Hindu temple, the colors are just beautiful, and it's worthwhile to come. This one is the Sri Mariamann Temple. I highly recommend visiting at dusk. Next up is Marina Bay. You're looking at a daytime view. This is really the downtown hub of modern Singapore. And just in case you're wondering, the best time to come here is not during the day. It's during the evening time, during the nighttime. This place glows at night. The Merlion is probably the number one attraction here. Of course, the Merlion is the symbol of Singapore, the Lion City. Yes, there will be crowds here, but take in the view. Look across. You see the skyline. You see the Marina Bay Sands, the ArtScience Museum, and there's a promenade so you can walk around. With any luck, there could be a performance going on. There is this amphitheater, open seating, and I passed by once and found this cool performance going on. As you continue to walk around, there's a cool bridge. I think it's called the Helix Bridge that you can walk across, capture some views, capture some pictures, and then you get ultimately to the Marina Bay Sands complex, where you can go into the hotel, or there is the Marina Bay Sands Shopping Center, which is really one of the most opulent and luxurious shopping malls anywhere in the world. There are stores like Rolex, Prada, Louis Vuitton, and those kind of stores. There's even a unique rainwater waterfall that's kind of cool to check out. So even if you're just window shopping or just looking around, this is a cool place to stop in. And there is a very good food court here. No, it's not a hawker center. The prices aren't that good, but there still are plenty of good places to eat if you're looking for somewhere to dine. But regardless of whether or not you make it over to the shopping plaza, at least plan on one night to come over to the Marina Bay, walk along the promenade, check out the Merlion, and take in the views. The skyline is really one of the epic modern skylines, not just in Asia, but anywhere in the world. You don't want to miss it. Next, let me talk about this building, the Marina Bay Sands, and specifically the epic swimming pool on top. Now, I realize this is not the most affordable or attainable attraction for most people. And I speak for myself because I've been to Singapore over a dozen times, and only once have I splurged when I was here with my daughter to buy a hotel room at the Marina Bay Sands so I could go swimming in this pool. They're very strict about it. You must be a hotel guest if you're going to come swimming here. And it's going to cost you to stay in this hotel a minimum of $500 a night, and it could be much more than that depending upon the season you come. Now, this pool is officially called the Sky Park Infinity Pool, and you are 57 stories up above the city. So you're looking down on the Singapore skyline. But here's the kicker. It is 478 feet long. It's enormous in length. It's more like a beach. And just like a beach, you can sit back and relax in your chair and order a drink, order food. There's service all along this pool. There's hot tubs on the other side so you can look out over the bay. But here's the deal. I've talked an awful lot about this pool, and it is an amazing experience if you can pull it off. But for many people, this might not be something they can do. So go to the observation deck, the Sky Park observation deck. I would recommend coming at dusk. It's worth the $5 extra you pay to go at dusk, where you get to observe the colors. You get the same view that you get here at the pool. Now, the Sky Park observation deck closes at 10 p.m., but you only need about a half hour. So there you have a couple of options. If you can do the pool, great, but the observation deck, I've been there many years ago. It's the exact same view, and I highly recommend it. Last of all, let's talk about the Singapore airport, and specifically this place called the Jewel. Now, first thing you should know, the Singapore airport is considered by many to be the best airport in the world. Now, as a business traveler, I've been through here a lot of times, and I've got some mixed feelings on it. You can watch a video I made by clicking here. That said, what I do love about the Singapore airport is this atrium they call the Jewel. Now, let me correct that. It's actually not just an atrium, it's a shopping plaza. But within the shopping plaza, in the center of it, you have this man-made waterfall and this atrium that's enormous. It goes several stories up, and you can stop, relax, find a seat, and just look and observe at this place. It's its own ecosystem, and it's fun to be here and just capture the feeling, feel the mist of the waterfall. Now, if you think this place is amazing during the day, wait till you come at night. If it's possible to come here in the evening or nighttime, the lights come on and it just has a unique feel to it. It's spectacular. This is one of my favorite attractions in all of Singapore. So make sure that before you leave Singapore, plan to go to the Jewel. Arrange it so you can come 3 or 4 hours before your flight. Spend some time here at the Jewel. You won't regret it. And there it is, a quick tour of Singapore by day and by night. Now, if you've been to Singapore, tell me what you think. Leave your comment below. Tell me what time of day you prefer to visit these places. As always, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe.